let's have a discussion why someone's skin doesn't always clear up. And there's many layers to this topic, so I'm going to try to keep it short. I don't want to go into too much detail because it can be very overwhelming. Of like trying to pick and choose as to where to start exactly in your own treatment plan, in your healing journey, that type of stuff. So acne is complex. It doesn't always have to be complex. It depends on the type of acne that you have, how persistent it is, frequency, severity. Like there's so many different layers to it, and there's not one size fits all cookie cutter approach to healing someone's acne. Which is why I think, for me as a naturopathic doctor who kind of like more moved into the online coaching space to help women heal their skin, it was just a complete focus in of itself because of all the complexities are involved, everything that you need to know, and also like that topical side piece in there just added a whole other layer of like specialty, if you will, or specific focus into understanding acne. So I hear this very commonly, like, I've tried everything, nothing works. You haven't tried everything, okay? Like, it's just, to me, it's like when people say that, I'm immediately like, okay, like, can we rewind here and just clarify that no, you haven't, okay? Like, there's a lot of other things that are out there. It just feels like you've tried everything because it's frustrating to have to deal with. And trust me, I get it. Like, I used to struggle with acne pretty severely when I was younger, and now that I've gotten older, I'm 35 now, and on occasion I still break out. Now I can tell you why I have issues with that sometimes, like too much stress, not handling my stress very well at all, picking, that's a really big problem for me, and experimenting with skincare products, which I've done my best to not do anymore and just stick to my own skincare line, which works for my skin. So anyways, I just wanted to kind of reiterate some points, some tips that I want to make sure that you guys are focusing on if you're very frustrated with your acne journey and you're not getting the results that you want. First off, I know that you probably already understand this. Topical skincare products alone will not heal your skin. They just will not. And, as much as I feel like you probably already understand this, I feel like it also needs to be said. Because I feel like as much as people say, yeah, I get that, they don't. And healing your skin doesn't happen overnight either. It's not an immediate thing. Sometimes it can take months, to correct whatever that root cause area of dysfunction is that was causing the issues with your skin to begin with. And it depends how long, like how deep down, like the vortex of skin stuff have you been down, and how long, like what are all the layers that we need to do to get you back out of it again? Like everyone's acne journey is unique. There is no one size fits all solution. There's no cookie cutter solution. I wish that there was, because it would make it a lot easier. And then, the percentage of the population that deals with acne wouldn't anymore. You know what I mean? Acne is definitely one of those things that can be really heavy sometimes to deal with, to work with, as a coach practitioner, but also as the patient who's struggling with it. There's just a lot of layers, a lot of things that need to be addressed. So yeah, topicals alone will not heal your acne, nor will just taking the odd supplement. Like, it's a whole lifestyle revamp, right down to like your mindset, how you feel about yourself, all that type of stuff. And, I think that's one thing that isn't really as addressed when it comes to health and healing in general, is all conditions seem to have a personality to them. Gabor Mate actually talks about this a little bit in some of his books, but it's just the observation that there are parts of someone's experience or someone's health issue that seem to have themes when you kind of take a step back to see of like what is the average personality of like a person who's struggling with acne, or what are some mindset things, the average mindset thing of someone who's struggling with acne, that type of stuff. And more often than not, I find like yeah, how do I word this in a kind way? Because I have also struggled with acne. I understand, I get it. It's there's a part of perfectionism there. I do find that acne suffers, not in general. This is a very generalized statement, but I do receive some pretty harsh emails from you guys sometimes, every once in a while, and they stick with me because they're harsh. And I think that has a lot to do with the personality of the person who is experiencing the condition. And I'm not saying that it's like, oh, like you guys should just calm down. That's not what I'm saying at all. It's more like what got you to that point because our internal dialogue does have a reflection to how we speak to others externally. And I think that's the point that I'm getting at, right? Like, how are you talking to yourself? What's your self-talk, right? Because acne is such an external condition that it's like, what's the mirroring aspect of what's going on in your life, how you feel about yourself, how you speak to yourself, and how you feel about others, how you speak to others, all that type of stuff, like your relationship with the outside world type of thing. So I think that there's a lot of layers from a mental health aspect or a mental emotional aspect that in acne and in health conditions in general are not appropriately addressed. And even if you're like, oh, Jill, like that's ridiculous that you would say something like that, then it's like, that's fine if you don't believe me. But at the end of the day, we could all work on our mindset shifts, right? We could all improve our relationships with ourselves to inevitably have better relationships with others so that we can have better communication skills, what have you, right? The world would be a much better place if we, learn to just love and appreciate ourselves. So I think that that's a really big part of it that is very often overlooked. Even with clients that I've worked with in the past, it's like, of course we have those conversations, but I also feel like too, it's such a barrier sometimes of a misunderstanding or just a disconnect as to how vital that is. Even just for someone to follow through on a treatment plan or to trust or have faith or believe that it is possible for them to clear up their skin, right? Because that's the other point too that I want to hop in on is that these changes do not happen overnight. Sometimes it takes months, right, to address that root cause. And I think I had already said that earlier. I've recorded this video twice now, so I don't know what I've said or haven't said. So yeah, being patient, but to be patient, you have to have a belief. You have to have faith that you're going to get results. You have to have a reason or why you're sticking to it, why you're continuing on when it doesn't seem like things are working or whatever, because they will work. They will. And also that's another piece to segue into the next topic is don't one-off things with people. So if you're seeking help from someone, follow up on it, get the help. Like just because we need to monitor and understand what's going on. And this is actually the reason why I recently got rid of my one-on-one consult. So people can only work with me in a group or in a coaching capacity, like in a package. At this particular moment in time because of this. Because I really do believe that if you're going to stick to something, you have to stick to it. And I understand that, money is a big barrier of treatment for many of us. So to kind of just commit that, for the next 6 months, I'm specifically going to work with someone and I'm going to do the work. I'm going to be committed. I'm going to be faithful to this and I'm going to just follow through on it. I'm going to check in regularly with this person who is willing to help me, all that type of stuff. As opposed to these just one-off, like, oh, I'm going to have this one consult this one time, do for a week or so what this person told me to do. Only pieces that, I feel like doing and I'm not going to do the rest. It's like, okay, so you want results? Do you? Like, I feel like you kind of just wasted your money at that point in time. So yeah, that's the reason why I kind of stopped the one-on-one, one-off consults and only offer packages now, because I felt personally, your results are a reflection of me. They shouldn't be. If there are any practitioners listening to this, that's a big problem in our world of like taking on other people's health issues and making them our own, making it our responsibility to make someone better. And it's not, at the end of the day, docere means to teach, right? Doctor comes from the Latin word docere. Docere means to teach. And in practice, it's called a practice for a reason, right? Like I really do believe that there's a big misunderstanding of what it means to work with someone in order to improve anything really, but a health condition for one. There needs to be responsibility and an understanding of the assumption of responsibility and what that looks like in a coaching relationship, in a doctor-patient relationship, anything like that, right? So I'm not getting into too much detail on that because I have gotten in trouble in the past about having that conversation, like a lot of trouble, like vicious email follow-up trouble. But anyways, but I do believe that is a big element, right? Like I work with a healthcare provider for my own like health stuff that I'm dealing with. And not once do I ever think that it's her fault if I'm not getting results. But there are layers to that, right? Like the practitioner also needs to follow through and do their job because they have a responsibility to you to give the best that they possibly can to you in order to help support you on your healing journey, right? There's a difference there. There's responsibility on both ends, but the definition of where the responsibility lies, I think is a little bit misunderstood. So what I'm saying is, when you work with someone, you have a responsibility to follow through, to commit to it. That's why like doing like packages, I feel like are just way better. And then also to the doctor or health coach or mentor, whoever you're working with, has a responsibility to give you 500% because, you know, that's their obligation, that's their job. And I will say, as a healthcare provider, doing the coaching space, that type of stuff as well, it's a lot. It's really exhausting and it's a lot of work. But you know what? We do it because we want to help people. Yeah. I won't go too much further into that. I feel like I've said what I need to say on that one. And then also too, just going back to like the whole idea that topical skincare products alone will not heal your skin. This is so monumentally true. There's no monotherapy in healing anything. Monotherapy is dead, okay? To me, healing your skin is a lifestyle change. We have to go right down to like the root cause as to why something like this has happened. And I know we've already talked about that mental emotional aspect, but you know, even right down to what does self-care look like to you? What is the definition of self-care? And to me, self-care is even like nourishment. What are you feeding your body? How are you feeding your body? Are you eating the right foods? That type of stuff. Not that we need to like hyper focus on nutrition. I think eating well is an act of self-care, and coming from that perspective of nutrition is more important to me for clients that I work with and people who want to heal their skin than how perfect is your diet, right? Just because there's so many layers to that, so many layers. Obviously nutrition, lifestyle, you know, like getting outside, having a social life, going for walks, exercising regularly, all these things, sleeping regularly is a huge one. All these things are so important, and they're important from like living a good life, which inevitably will help heal any health condition, but also like cortisol regulation and metabolism of hormones and all that type of stuff, which is where like, you know, the clinical minded person like me comes into play, where it's like, what are all the biochemical processes that are happening in someone's body? What's the pathophysiology of acne? And how can I integrate lifestyle medicine, health, well-being, all that type of stuff into mitigating all these things that could be out of whack, if you will, or dysfunctional, or that need support in order to help improve someone's health condition, which inevitably will help improve your life. Right? It's not just a one quick fix, like let's just tweak this one thing. It's like let's take an assessment of your entire life, right? And where can we improve these things? So lifestyle medicine is a huge deal. And also not from a superficial perspective, again, like mental emotional aspect, how you feel about your life, all that type of stuff. Huge deal, really big deal. And then lastly, of course, topicals. I do believe that there is a system of topical skincare when the system is irrelevant in a sense. I think that a system can work for most people. It's how the system is used, right? That's where we make the custom modifications for people to help improve their skin health. So like even the other day, I won't get into detail on this one because I'm pretty sure that the email that I received from this person, I'm pretty sure that English is not her first language. Otherwise, I don't think she would have been so rude in it. But the point that I'm getting at here is that it's very easy to get frustrated with something, especially, you know, when you're trying to use topicals and only use topicals to try to heal your skin, because that's never the solution. But also too, like, what is going on from a topical perspective that we can translate into all this internal stuff that we just talked about, you know? And how can we modify the system that you're using, not change the system, modify the topical skincare system that you're using, granted that it's a good one, right? Already a good one, in order to get you the results that you're looking for, or to help offset any of these things that are happening topically on your skin, right? So for example, like sebum stickiness, like is your sebum content, how am I trying to say this? If you have like a stickier sebum being produced in your skin, how can we modify that? Well, that's kind of an internal, kind of an external thing, but then being mindful of how we use our external topical products to help offset that issue that someone might have that would lead to pore clogging, for example, right? Or something called retentive hyperkeratosis, which just means that your skin cell sloughing is at an increased rate, but it's almost like the dead skin cells aren't sloughing off your skin in an appropriate way. They're actually sticking in the pore, which then like mixes in with that sticky sebum and then creates clogged pores, right? So do we need to change the topical skincare system that you're using, or do we need to just modify how you're using it exactly while also paying attention to all these other things that I just talked about, right? Like all these other internal things to help actually fix the root cause, which is improving the quality of the sebum or of the oil that your skin's producing, and also helping to regulate the skin cell turnover or the skin cell sloughing that's happening on your skin. Does this all make sense? Because this isn't the topical application and the internal stuff go hand in hand very closely. And it's not, you can't just blame one thing for the reason why something's happening, because there's all this other stuff like beneath the water, you know, where this is only tip of the iceberg, like oversimplifying a situation that's happening. And these are all the other things that need to be addressed. So I hope that makes sense for you guys. It's very frustrating to deal with poor skin health. It's very frustrating. And trust me, I understand, I get it, because I've worked with people for years who have struggled with this, and I've also struggled with it myself. Every once in a while, if I'm not like paying attention to what I'm doing in my life or how I'm living my life, then it does pop up again. And you know what? It makes me feel awful. I don't go outside. I feel really depressed about myself. Like it pops up, it happens, right? So don't think that like I don't understand. Just because when you're looking at me on the screen, it looks like I have clear skin right now. But it's because I'm my own guinea pig. I try really hard to like, you know, understand as deeply as I can how to help and improve people's skin and lives, right? And I hope that reflects to you with the experiments and the things that I do with myself. And yeah, so I hope that helps kind of clear some things up for you guys. I won't ramble on too much more. Maybe I'll make another video about this in the future if I can think of some other things to say. But thank you for listening. Please subscribe. I think I'm supposed to say that. And I'll talk to you guys later.